I applied to 8 programs. I only interviewed at 2. My chances were not high. My own failure not matching initially during phase 1.
Yeah.
And, that process was very difficult for sure. And I'm trying to like get my mind back into where I was
Yeah.
when I found out that I applied to I think 8 programs. I only interviewed at 2, and then I kind of
Wow.
knew that okay, I probably my chances are not high
Mm.
at this point because the 2 places that I did apply to or that I did interview at, they were very competitive areas. They're both VAs. So I feel
Gotcha.
like the VA programs are always so competitive.
Oh, yeah.
Um, which is so funny because I work at the VA now and I'm like, I get it, but I also don't get it. Like, why is it so competitive? Like,
Competitive.
I roll my eyes now at like the weird things the students are taught about what programs are supposed to be. But anyways, that's for another day. Um,
Oh.
but when I didn't match, I think I was already kind of preparing myself for it because I kind of knew that it
Um,
wasn't going to happen. It was kind of a slow progression of failure anyways. It wasn't just like all of a sudden I
gotcha.
got this result. So I kind of was like bracing myself for impact. Um and luckily my school had this one day where it was like the Friday after you get your or the Friday of the day that you
Yeah.
get your results or something and you
Yeah.
can like go to campus and then the mentors and the professors will have kind of like a game plan for everybody type of thing and like tell you how to
Yeah.
go through phase 2, which was pretty cool. At the time phase 2 was not really phase 2 yet. It was still in like
Yes.
the beginning of
Scramble. Yeah.
rolling it out. So it was phase 2 because I had applied, reapplied, and paid for these programs, but it was a scramble. It was still a
Yeah.
scramble. Like it was really weird. So I think if I had to kind of like go back and think, what did I do that was so different that allowed me to overcome this experience was probably, when I was a student, I was very, I was playing it so small. And
Uh,
when failure hit me in the face, I was like, this is it. No
yeah.
more. I need to go after this. Like I cannot live like this anymore. And here's the funny thing. So it was like the Friday that I found out that I didn't make it. It was Saturday that I had like met up with another resident and was like kind of going over what I could do better for the scramble. And
Wow.
then right after that, I drove to this church, which I'm not religious. I'm a very spiritual person, but I'm not a religious person. Neither is my family. But my mom and dad would take me to this church all the time just to kind of like, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know why they did it, but
Yeah.
we used to go to this church. So I drove to this church and I climbed this little hill and had like a little cross on top of this hill, but I climbed it and I sat like right next to the cross and I was looking kind of out in like the view and I was just
Down.
looking at it
Yeah.
and I was literally like, I'm gonna do this. Like this is what I'm gonna do. I'm meant to do this. And
Yeah.
that was it. From that moment on, I was like, nope, I'm gonna get a residency. Like there's no stopping me at this point.
Yes.
Because also right before I had like gone and done all this interview stuff, I got a job offer at Fry's Pharmacy. And I was like, I'm just gonna turn this
Oh,
down because I wasn't interested in working retail. So I really just put all my eggs in
did.
this basket and then it didn't work out. So you can imagine like maybe what, like 3 months out from graduation, I didn't have anything lined up. And that was
Yeah.
absolutely terrifying. I'm
I'm
like, what am I gonna
sure.
do?
I'm
Um,
sure.
so that was why I had this degree of like, no, this is gonna happen for me. I'm gonna make
A
this happen.
conviction.
It's a conviction. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was like no one's going to take this away from me. And so after that, the weeks leading up to me getting my residency position, I just started calling all these programs. I called, I called, I
Yes.
called. I just like, no, I'm not gonna wait around for an email now. I have to
Yes.
do something. Like I need to step in and do something. Like grab life by the horns and just like go
See?
for it,
You
right?
see what audacity gets you?
Yeah, that's very
We're back.
true.
We're back to the power of audacity and
Yeah.
just going for it.
Going
I love
for
it.
it. I mean, at that point, I had nothing to lose anyways. So it was like, no,
Exactly.
I'm going after this. And it was
Yes.
just, I mean, it was disappointing because time after time, either nobody would pick up or I would be
Yeah.
passed around, by
Yeah.
different people. or they would tell me, no, we already filled the position. And this is the scramble. So essentially,
Yeah.
like after you find out you don't match, you just start calling everywhere and
Calling.
then like, you know, grabbing whatever. And I was playing by the rules. I was doing the phase two. I was applying
Yeah.
online, but everybody else was not playing by the rules. So then, you know,
Yeah.
programs were already taking people. And so positions were not open that I thought was open. They were no longer available. So I finally called this one program randomly in Philadelphia, and they were like, hey, well, that position's already taken, but there's a residency program that's brand new. It's in Indiana. Would you like me to send you the flyer for that? And I was like, yes, please. Like, let
Yes.
me look at that. And when I looked at it, at this point, I was going from, again, I had this idea that I wanted to be ambulatory care, but now I'm in this critical care rotation where I loved acute care.
Yeah.
And I was like, this was
Yeah.
what I was meant to do. What was I
Yeah.
doing? So so this program that from Indiana, it was a very like, you know, typical pharmacy practice PGY one where it was
Mhm.
mostly acute care, a little bit of am care, but it was mostly acute care. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this is the right one for me. It seems like it has everything that I need. I will be its first resident, but I'm going to take this chance and I'm going to take a risk to at
Yes.
least talk to them and see what they're about. And for a fact that like another program recommended this other program to me, I feel like there's a
Yeah.
rapport there. So yeah, I took a chance, I took a risk, and years later I'm a clinical pharmacist. So
You are pause, right click. You are a thriving, successful clinical pharmacist. You are a regular schmegular girl who just made a decision not to quit. It really
yeah.
was just that simple.
Oh,
And when I see regular people accomplishing things, it gives me so much strength and courage
yeah.
and believing that I can do it too. I can do it
Yeah.
too.
You
Like
you guys can do it too.
you can
Yeah.
absolutely do
Well,
it.
thanks, Sally, for breaking it down so simply because sometimes I'm like, what was it that gave me that determination to go after it? What was it? And you're right. It's simply a choice of I'm not giving up. This is not
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can even imagine if I didn't match also that year. I think that that choice of, no, I'm going to go after what I want.
Yes.
For what? It's simply just that choice, isn't it?
It is. It
Isn't that so
really
wild?
is. It
Just that I'm not giving up. I
up.
want this.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It took up.